To order, the meeting is duly constituted, quorum is present, and the first order of business on the agenda is approval of the agenda. May
some additions.
I have a motion and a second discussion?
Carl, if I could add on resolutions, B and C, it'd be play school reimbursement of costs and Trailblazers reimbursement of costs.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, if I could jump in, we've actually got all of these and we've numbered them, if that's okay? So we don't have to renumber them? Yeah, because we basically got all the ones from the prior meeting.
Okay, good, yeah, go.
Good, okay, so.
Yeah, so 9B is water user rates and parcel tax restructure.
Yes,
9C is 2016 budget considerations.
yes,
9D, Santa's breakfast reimbursement request.
yeah,
9E, Trailblazers reimbursements. And then item 14, we'll have a closed resolution.
14 resolution to close
And
under
item 14, so after public questions and comments, we'll have a resolution, closed resolution.
91E.
And 15, reporting out.
15 reporting out, thank you. And then 16 adjournment.
Yes. So, sorry, Councillor.
I hope nobody else wants to change the numbering.
Well, thank you for jumping in.
Yeah. Just that if you changed our numbering, we were really in trouble.
Oh, that would have been sad. Okay, just prompt me when to wake up here.
Okay, Helen?
I just want to actually also defer 12B to the next.
Prepared to waive notice on deferral of 12B town hall meeting.
Okay.
All good?
Sure.
On the nod? Okay, fine. Take that out. I had none. Fred?
No.
Good. Okay, all in favour? Opposed? That carries. Public participation? That's not you guys. There being none, we will proceed to delegations. And welcome. And I am pleased to invite first delegation Lions by Play School Association.
Thank you. Where would you like me?
You can stand if you wish to be formal, or sit, or sit maybe.
I'll sit.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you for having me. Good evening. Mr. Good school play, by the way. Just finished up. Good Christmas concert.
It wasn't Frosty the Snowman, was it?
No.
Thank goodness.
The reason I'm here is to address perhaps a miscommunication. There was in September 9th in a special meeting, a discussion on some retrofits, renovations that need to be taking place at the Village Hall to accommodate the after-school care for the play school. Within the discussion, there was an estimated cost. Unfortunately, I was not here representing the play school. My secretary was, myself being the chair. There was an estimation of $1,000 to $1,500 with, and I quote, additional cost may arise from the inspections by the inspector and the fire chief. And also, under the resolution, it states the council directs staff to implement the changes to the Village of Lions Bay upper rooms required by Vancouver Coastal Health. So the Vancouver Coastal Health officer was required to come in and make some notes, and then by authority of herself, the inspector, the building inspector and the fire chief had to come in. My understanding of that resolution was that the costs for those renovations were to be covered. As of now, we have an outstanding invoice for a sum of $3,604.55, completed by a local contractor, Ideal Property Works. There was again a resolution just recently in October 20th that only the material be covered for a sum of $1,076.66. My question to the group here is why the disconnect in the communication of why only the materials are going to be covered. Before you answer that, I would like to point out that From September to December, the Play School has paid the village $2,120. That's approximately $530 a month for rent for that area. The anticipated January to June rental cost for that area will be $3,180. You add the $2,120, the village will be making a sum of $5,300 for a space that would not have been utilized anyways. So there's a difference of $1,695 in my estimate that the village would be ahead for this year, assuming that they would pay for that sum. I do have a breakdown of the invoice, which I was unfortunately not able to share with Shauna prior to at the copy here. I'm more want to keep it on record. It kind of breaks down. It provides a breakdown of what the work was. The labor, as is correct, the $1,076.76, which, by the way, has not yet been paid by the contractor, which was noted in the October 20th minutes. It has not been completed yet.
Not been paid to the
It
contractor.
has not been paid to the contractor either. And then it tells you the hours broken down. The Play School will be willing to accept some of these hours. There's a total of 12.5 hours of window film, which was required by Vancouver Coastal Health. 2.25 hours for smoke detectors, which was required by the fire inspector and building inspector. 2.75 hours building storage cabinets. Play School can accept that cost. 8.5 hours for building a front landing, as requested by the building inspector, fire inspector. 6.5 hours build and hang awards cabinet. Play School can accept those costs. And 3.75 hours build and install picture rails. Play School will accept those costs as well. However, there's other costs as requested by the Vancouver Coastal Health. I would request that they be assumed by the village as indicated in the September 9th minutes. I also like to note that $600 of window film was donated to this project, so there's some material costs that were not included.
Okay, thank you. It's typically, we don't necessarily respond to delegation on the fly, but I can tell you some of the backstory because you weren't here. Council, as you remember, was called to a special meeting to consider this request because of the timing requirement and agreed that we would defray the costs against future rent, meaning actually discount the rent.
Yeah.
So that is where the 1,076 went. The idea was that we would compensate for improvements to the value of the asset value of the hall, which we felt would be the materials. So there was a competing quote, as it were. The Play School had been given a quote of, I think, remind me, Pam, for internal public works costs to do the same work.
$1,000 to $1,500.
$1,000 to $1,500. The Play School felt that that was too much and preferred to do it themselves.
I'm not quite sure we've ever seen that quote.
It's in the report. It's part of your.
In fact, that's why you came to say that you would need to do it yourself, because the $1,500 quoted was too much.
Okay, I think there might have been a timing issue there as well, because we needed to
It was
have
also
it-
timing. You're right. There was a timing issue.
That was the main issue. In fact, the resolution was just allowing you to do the work because you couldn't go in without council's approval. So that's why we had the special meeting. So it's directing staff to sort of allow you to implement the changes that you need to meet your deadline.
So the cost that ultimately arose were $3,600 plus. I'm now hearing $500 in donated costs.
Right.
The difficulty is this: what's in it for the taxpayers of Lions Bay to absorb all this cost? Well, the one thing is that we got some added value to the hall, and we're prepared to compensate for that. I can see now that you presented, Council, correct me if I'm wrong, that the labour to build a step that becomes part of the fabric of the building, we should cover that as well. Although it's not been a council-approved expense, we thought we were in for about $1,500. We instructed the Play School to work with staff. Frankly, none of this should come as a surprise to anybody because you were working with staff. So, I don't know why it's come back before us. There was no monetary value set. We came up with the principle that it was because you added to the fabric of the building that we would cover those costs. in kind, mind you, in terms of a reduction in rent, not in terms of, well, I think in the end you ended up charging them full rent and then giving them a reimbursement check, is that correct?
No, the rent is,
The
they're
rent
actually
wa-
only using one of the rooms now, so the rent is $20 a day, which is our rates for our fees and charges.
Okay, and so are you guys getting a reduction in rent?
No, we have not. We've received an invoice for $2,120, which we paid.
Okay, so then you need to get a reimbursement of that rent to the tune of the improvements that you put in. That council agreed at the time was 1,076.
So did we agree to that? I don't recall agreeing to that.
Yeah.
There
Well,
was
we
some
already-
mention
it's-
that a municipal grant might be applied for 2016, but
No,
It's nowhere
it's
in
in the
the-
resolution on the October 20th
So
minutes.
that's for the materials. That's on the October 20th.
So you're asking for about the rest of the 2,300. We're not going to be able to
Sorry,
decide that now.
Going back, this is the October 20th. It's just approving the payment of the invoice.
Uh,
I'm not disagreeing, but I don't believe we've ever talked about reimbursement of
Uh,
rent.
I think
Well,
off the,
Paying the invoice is the same.
the sheet that you
Yeah,
passed
we
around,
agreed
that
to
had
reduce
the
the rent.
hours and that
Yes.
one, thank you.
Yes.
And I think you had mentioned that there was some movement off these numbers.
Yes.
And are you in a position maybe to email it to us tonight?
I certainly
Tonight
can.
and see what the number,
And again, yes, I can.
that's great.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, I didn't have a chance to send this to you earlier, but the play school, in our opinion, is not in a position to pay for building and fire inspection deficiencies in the hall. And those are the ones we'd like taken off.
I
All
personally
other
would agree with
items-
that, yeah. I think
Other
you're right.
items, we'll pay for it.
So you're talking about the 8.5 hours plus 2.25 hours, and what
So,
else?
We will pay for the 2.75 hours for building storage cabinet. We will pay for the 6.5 hours to build and hang a word cabinet.
Yeah.
And we will pay for the 3.75 hours to build and install picture rails.
The window film that was not a building inspection item, that was coastal health.
Required by coastal health.
Yeah, well, we're
Actually,
not
all of
subject.
these were required by Coastal Health. There was no building inspection or fire inspection requirements. You were just required to have an inspection by Vancouver Coastal Health, and these were requirements. of
Including the step,
Mhm.
yeah.
Because we'd
now-
already passed the code, like we'd
Yeah.
already had our building inspection. These were inspections. What we meant here in the resolution was we would cover the costs of having the building inspection and the fire inspection required by Vancouver Coastal Health. Normally, we charge for those, and we didn't charge for them. We only
Yeah,
implemented
that's right.
things
There
that
was a
you
list,
needed
a
to
punch
get.
list that came from Vancouver Coastal
Yeah,
Health, and
that we
they said
implemented.
you need window film, you need a step, you need screw the cabinets to the wall, all that stuff.
And then they
That's
wanted
correct.
it inspected.
There's no benefit to the taxpayers of Lions Bay to have window film on the window.
But I don't think the
I-
step was.
I would disagree because the fire inspection and building inspectors both indicated that these were deficiencies that should have been fixed regardless of whether we were there or not.
Well, we don't have window film on all the other windows in the building.
Minus the window film. I'm putting in the 12.5 hours of window film because it was requested by Vancouver Coastal Health. And in your minutes, you've indicated that community center required by Vancouver Coastal Health.
Yeah, the work needs to be done. The cost was between you and staff. It's a bit of a mishmash, I agree. We're going to have to debate it separately.
Okay.
I take your point very well that your rent is not insignificant, that you have paid or will pay.
Yes.
We have to balance that against the community needs and against the fact that why should the taxpayers pay for this?
I understand that.
So-
The school is a non-for-profit organization run by volunteer parents. We are value added to the community. We can easily be dissolved, and it would greatly affect the community. I'll leave you with that thought.
Just on my math here, so I think of the, just off, if
I
I'm
can
reading
read that
upside down,
would be
so I
good.
think it's 13 hours of the 36.25 that play school would absorb,
That's correct.
okay?
And if it's any consolation, we split the 12.50,
Okay.
the 12.5 hours, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily propose that this is a horse trade. It's more, what's the philosophy, and then we need to agree to that. But on the other hand, we can be pragmatic about things. Okay, leave it with us.
All right, thank you
Thank you
very
very
much for your time.
Thanks, Jürgen.
Yeah.
Had you started the timer there, Councillor Bain?
No, I forgot to.
Huh.
That
You
was
may have-
5 minutes.
You reckon? I felt longer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jürgen. Okay, we'll move on to our second delegation from My City Sky. Dr. Finn.
Thank you.
I think I should move for this, shouldn't I?
We could, yeah, if you could please, just around the side. Somebody hit the power button there and I'm short of a couple of feet. Yeah, that one. That should work. started doing it. Warming up there. Is that it?
No, actually, it's okay.
The lights behind you.
I'll tell you, everybody will go to sleep, but okay. They don't work.
Oh, no. They don't.
Here? Yeah.
Oh,
That's
nice.
perfect.
My name's Owen Finn. I live on Boyer Island, I think, which is just out here. And I've been on a long campaign to try and avoid having a LNG plant in Howe Sound. I have addressed this council before, the previous council, and who passed a resolution basically calling on a ban of LNG tankers in Howe Sound. For the benefit of those councillors who were not on the last council, I'm preparing a short presentation. The ask today is that you send a letter to the new Minister of Environment and Climate Change, reiterating the last council's resolution and informing them of that. Thanks. My odyssey with the LNG started when I listened to this. Excuse me. From our Premier.
I just came back from Rudong in Jiangsu province near Shanghai. I saw the most incredible feat of engineering you'll find just about anywhere. The longest LNG pipeline in the world over land. It goes out about almost 20 kilometers out from the shore so that they can receive LNG from around the world. And that is where we are going to connect Squamish, British Columbia, to China as Woodfibre builds their facility in BC to export natural gas over here, a country that needs it very, very badly. And because they're doing that, they've announced that they're opening their head office in Vancouver very soon. It's an exciting day for British Columbia, another milestone in the hunt to make sure we are first in getting to the natural gas market.
So being a resident of Boyer, this does concern me because it would involve tankers rolling up and down the Sound. These are pretty big tankers. Where the gas comes from is in northeast BC, a typical fracking platform. It's fairly environmentally destructive because these things wear out in 30 months or so and you have to move over. Eventually your landscape looks like this. It's increasingly a fractured land, and for those who attended the recent showing of the movie Fractured Land will recognize this. It's not the only industrial proposal for Howe Sound. The woodlots, the gravel mill, Burnco hasn't gone away. It's been dormant for a little while. The proposed incinerator, good news last week that Metro Vancouver has shelved the idea for a while, maybe not indefinitely. And of course then there's the gas pipeline and LNG plant, and of course several run-of-river projects. The LNG plant is my primary concern, run by this gentleman of dubious persuasion, and is a very controversial character in Indonesia, where his plants are responsible for significant deforestation. This is not somebody we wish to have in charge of a fairly environmentally sensitive affair in Howe Sound. On safety, as the picture taken from Boyer Island, showing how big these tankers are typically. This is carrying 60,000 tons of LNG. Sorry, basic thing is twice as big, twice as long, twice as high as a piece of ferry. They look rather bigger when you put them right next to a 4-story apartment block. This is in Boston Harbor, which takes special precautions in order to, when these things come in and out, costs Boston about $80,000 for security every time one of these comes in. Reason they're so concerned is that LNG is classed as a flammable gas and is class 2, just below explosives, on the International Maritime Dangerous Goods IMDG code system. This was a concern to the Senate of the US, who asked what would happen if an LNG tanker was either accidentally or deliberately pulled. The idea is pretty self-evident here. The gas, the liquid at minus 160 leaks out onto the water, skates across the surface on a frozen surface, mixes with air, and if it comes in contact with flame anywhere within 3.5 kilometers, you get a firestorm resulting. This is a published report, scientifically done. The end result is more a fireball than an explosion, but the end result for the local residents is much the same. How far would these stretch? Well, onto the Sea to Sky Highway, the outer perimeter has the village of Lions Bay included in it, obviously where I live in Boyer, and the citizens of Bowen, when they saw this, was less than impressed. The U.S. Coast Guard and Homeland Security have enshrined these zones in their waterway suitability assessment, part of their environmental assessment process. We have no such rules here. Vancouver's ability to fight an LNG fire is very limited, as you aware. Howe Sound is non-existent. We had the fire last spring in Squamish, which required the Vancouver Fire Boat to come up and actually put it out because the Squamish Fire Department couldn't. It's wood fiber and the Fortis pipeline lie directly on several fault lines. This is data from the Oil and Gas Commission in BC. You can see that right where that LNG plant is 2 major thrust faults, and then where the pipeline goes up through Indian River. Similarly, there's a history of slumpage at the wood fiber site itself as lately as 1955. Part of the foreshore there slumped into the ocean, taking a warehouse, on-land warehouse with it. Tanker weights are at shore are going to be a significant problem. You operate a public beach here, but worried about children, and because these things displace 10 times as much as a BC ferry. Emissions, there's a flare stack for this thing proposed. Cooling towers, these are on water storage, about 100,000 to 120,000 tons of the stuff. 142,000 tons per annum of carbon dioxide, even though it's proposed to be electrically powered. That's equivalent to adding about 26,000 vehicles to underneath you here, and 300 tons of basically smog. That's not going to do our emission reduction plans and the legislation that we have in place any good. We're supposed to go to 45 million tons from 68 right back in 2007, and it will actually take it up to 87. Effects on marine life, this is going to discharge 17,000 tons of hot chlorinated water into the northern Howe Sound every hour of every day for 25 years if approved. The effects on the marine life in Howe Sound are expected from the chlorination and the heated water to be bad. How bad, we don't quite know yet, but it could turn northern Howe Sound into a marine desert. That's about 7 Olympic-sized swimming pools every hour. The economics are bad. The gas price has fizzled since the Fukushima disaster, which caused it to go back up around $20 when the BC government was getting quite excited at the economic prospects, but it has basically sunk now at $7.45 below the break-even, which is about $12. So the economics are currently not good for this project, but they do take a longer-term view. This was a picture taken in a flotilla organized last summer, where I think 61 boats went up the Sound carrying such banners as no LNG tankers. Some people think the risks outweigh the benefits. Various municipalities have passed resolutions, yours included, already, and most recently last week when the District of West Vancouver, the Mayor Smith, sent a letter to our new Environment Minister, copied the local MP and the local MLA, Jordan, and you would join a significant list of these objecting to the presence of a dangerous LNG facility in Howe Sound. The ask I have tonight is that you revisit your motion passed last year and inform Minister McKenna of your resolve that it has not changed in the interim. Thank you. Is there any questions?
Thank you very much. Colleagues, questions? I have one to do with the marine exclusion zone. We don't know anything about the impact of wake or anything to do with the tankers potentially transiting. I hear numbers ranging from 2 a month to the 84 a month that I see you mention here, or 90, I don't know what the number was. What's the wake like?
The wake depends on the characteristics of the shoreline. if the shoreline is vertical, as it is in some places, then the wake is not so bad, it just bounces off, and it doesn't form a curl and a wave. But on a sloping beach, it is significant. I've estimated up to 6 feet, and that would be terrifying for small children on a public beach. The tankers, because of their high height, they're over 130 feet tall, have to travel at between 10 and 12 kilometers, knots, sorry, in order to maintain steerage. And have sound being occasionally windy, that figure would be a lower bound. To maintain steerage on something that big, you have to go that fast. And if you go that fast, the wake is accordingly much larger. The waves around the tanker disappear, but the energy does not. And the conservation of energy principle means that it saves itself up for the shore. And those who remember the tsunami that started in Aceh province, winding up killing 130,000 people in Sri Lanka, 3,000 miles away, know that, and the wave was not observed in the ocean, but when it got to shore, the energy was still there. We have on Boyer problems with BC ferry wakes now when the tide is at a certain level where the children have to be brought in, and BC ferries displace 1/10 of the volume of water as these things do at corresponding speeds. I don't know that that answers your question.
No, that does
yeah.
very well, thank you. And I hear that there will be, when they're transiting, no other boats will be allowed to put to sea. What's the story?
There are no regulations which specify that in all of Canada, because we have no experience with LNG export plants in Canada. We have one import plant in the east. It was the one Canaport terminal operated by Irving and Repsol, which was the one that lately became famous for being fined $750,000 for frying 7,500 songbirds in the flare. In the fog, they flew into it and were crisped. So we have no such regulations. Those regulations are normally imposed by port masters, and we have no port authority in the whole of Squamish. It has had a single customer for large ships, the Norwegian owner of Squamish Terminals, and they've had essentially the run of Northern Half Sound to themselves for large vessels. They generally are well-mannered and slow down coming into and out of the sound. But these vessels would be accompanied by 3 or 4 tugs, so you would have the tug wakes as well as the tanker wakes to deal with. I hope that answers. So in terms of frequency, 40 a year, so that's 3 to 4 a month.
Okay,
Particularly
so
heavy in the summertime when the demand for gas from all the rest of us is a lot less and the plant can produce more.
So I think to your point, you're wondering about our beach, so a 6-foot wave coming in with our slope is gonna take our sound right out.
Well, and make the beach untenable, and depending on regulations as they come, will we be allowed to set sail?
I think we'll wipe out the marina.
And we'll wipe out the marina.
Okay, so in Boston, they close all the marinas for local sailors and local power boaters for 20 minutes ahead and 20 minutes behind the passage of an LNG tanker in and out of Boston Harbor. But we have no such regulations. We are still formulating what they might be. My wish would be that we have some regulations before we launch full scale into such an industry, because international trade agreements being such, we expose ourselves to litigation if we change the rules after the fact.
Yeah. One last question from me, and that is, given the market reality, is this all moot?
At the moment, yes. But markets go up and go down. The truth of the expectation from all of the analysis that I've read and from people who know more about the LNG market that I do is that the impending build-out of LNG facilities in Australia, the US, and lots of other places we don't compete well with is such that the supply of LNG over the next 6 to 10 years is going to double. The demand for it is currently dropping and expected to continue to do so as Japan turns its nuclear reactors back on. Russia sends gas by pipe into China, etc. So the market is a fickle thing to lay your thoughts on, and we would still need regulations. We would still need provisions that protect us, the consumer, from these sort of things if, as and when they do go. But currently, it looks like the probability that this will be built in the short run is quite small. There is no way that you can go to finance an LNG plant unless you have pre-sold 70% of your production, and as last I looked, wood fibre has not pre-sold any of its production.
I take your point, though, that we were protecting against the future. Well, so what I would suggest happens is that I did ask Ruth Simons to troll out the letters that the other municipalities had written, but then I found that they were in your package subsequently. So what I would suggest, if council's amenable to this, is that I write a letter that encompasses some of the ideas in those things, if I can get nods around the table, or if you want to go as far as resolution, that we remain, as a new council, fundamentally opposed to LNG being produced in Howe Sound, being transited through Howe Sound, being consumed anywhere in the world, for all the reasons we see here, and more. If that is the sense around the table, I'd be happy to take the first cut at a letter that gives that sense, and then bring it forward for a resolution at even next meeting. So I see you nodding, Jim. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's fairly unanimous. So what I may even do, unless I'm told that this is operational rather than policy. No, this is policy. I'm in the clear. I can do this. I'll run a few drafts by you, if that's all right.
That's perfectly fine.
Now, to the extent that we can make it meaty, yes. Whether Lions Bay has any clout whatsoever, I don't know. You may know that I'm on the Climate Action Committee at Metro, so we actually have more power through Metro than not, because, as you know, the Climate Action Committee issues all the air quality permits in the Metro area.
I've done some work for Metro Vancouver.
I know very well. One question though, the incinerator at Port Mellon, why would Metro get involved with that?
It was a proposal by the Aquilini Corporation to Metro as a potential site for an incinerator.
Oh, the destination of Metro garbage.
Yeah. Although it's outside of Metro, it's in SCRD territory. It was a destination, much as Dew Point in the NIMO was, until they said no thank you. But 375,000 tons of waste barged up there was the proposal.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks. That makes sense.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll switch this off.
Yeah.
Carl, if you're gonna write a letter, can you not kind of base these guys on this phone?
No. Yeah, I noticed that. No, we'll actually come up with some original thinking.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for taking the trouble, folks. It was very good of you. You don't want to stay for the rest? It's going to be good. Okay, go. Yeah, absolutely.
Did they think you might need some office?
Who?
The whole delegation.
Yeah, I don't know. Thanks. I'm a pragmatic chemical engineer. I mean, I really actually understand this stuff. I don't think we want it.
Pragmatic engineer.
Chemical engineer. I mean, I worked in the industry.
Is that why you say no to LNG?
Well, I think we need alternate.
Thanks to council for.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Close it with Carl.
No, alternate fuels definitely, but
Yeah, we're talking about this one.
No, this is
LNG anywhere in Canada?
Well, I think everybody was
yeah, in some peak shaving power plants, they fire them up with
It's
natural
an area
gas.
of
But we have
frustration for
hydro.
me, just to get
And coal.
clarity with that, regardless of.
That's the problem. We have coal. Coal's a hell of a lot cheaper than gas.
It's an easy thing here.
Okay, so that was it for delegations. We'll move on to adoption of the minutes. The first set is the minutes starting on page 19, the meeting of November 17th. Do we have any water? I need some.
No, actually, I get you water, so I get a coffee.
Oh, thanks, John. I had just one, Shauna, on 9A. The resolution, Council Waterson was unable to attend as the alternate, not as the second alternate. Thanks, that's correct. So I was looking for a second alternate. So it's somewhat academic because we're going to repeal that resolution now. But to make the meeting minutes reflect what was discussed, Councillor Waterson was unable to attend as an alternate. That's better. Anybody else? Okay, so a motion to adopt and a second. All in favour? Opposed? That carries. And then a motion to adopt the minutes. I'm just going to make some rearrangements here. Sorry, guys. The minutes of the special council meeting of November 26th, starting on page 2-3. I don't think I had anything there. Anybody else? No? Did I get a motion in second? I'll get another one. Motion in second? Thanks. All in favour? Opposed? That carries. So those minutes are adopted, and we'll now proceed to the action items report, business arising, page 25. Item number 1 is ongoing. Item number 2, we would look to a report from Nikki, but she's not here, so we'll move on that one. Everybody good? That's on the understanding if there's any comeback on the prior contractor on the retaining wall at Magnesia, which collapsed, which was sort of the point of it not happening. Item number 3, emergency planning committee to be struck and the emergency siren to be deferred to that time. Are we doing the emergency planning committee tonight? I can't remember.
No,
No,
tonight.
it's coming.
I think we're gonna wait till the new CAO is
Yeah,
in the seat.
yeah. Okay, fine. So we'll proceed on that one. Trees, views, and landscapes. Terms of reference. Is that happening? I don't see it in the package.
No,
No,
that
okay.
I believe is also deferring into the new CAO. Was that correct?
Yeah, there was an email.
There was an email. Yeah.
There was an email that went around
Yeah.
to say that it would happen, and I think Ron sent it out.
Yes, that's correct. Beautiful. Okay. Unfinished business. Parking plan committee. Terms of reference update. Page 27. You've read the package. Can I have a motion to adopt the new terms of reference? And a second discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favour? Opposed? That carries. Well done, by the way. This makes more sense. Report, staff. Public Works Manager report, page 31. I had many issues that I wanted to ask about, but Nikki's not here, so I'm going to talk to her about them separately. The only thing I wanted to point out to council was... No, I don't know. It's all for Nikki. Just by the by, one thing that came out of the infrastructure committee last night, we were talking about mitigating risk up at the intakes. We have not yet managed to inspect Harvey. It's been out for 9 days.
From Mag, wasn't it?
Mag, sorry. I never remember which one's out. It's always one or the other. Because of the safety protocols. And so Nikki suggested we get a drone. That we drive up there. Self-guiding, with the camera so you can see what it's seeing. So it's a fairly sophisticated drone, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper than a helicopter. And just go and take a look. Land on the roof of the building, look around.
Is that on your wish list or Nikki's?
It's now on my wish list.
And what would the rental fee for that be?
Oh,
Or just buy one.
I think you get a drone for
$300.
No, I think this one would be more like $2,000. But
Oh, there'd be more than that.
you think?
Yeah, especially if it can navigate through that.
Yeah, and you want
Because
one.
you have to, it can't be relying on line of sight with the radio signal.
Yeah. If it runs out of juice, then you're down a drone.
That's right.
Well, a friend who's a geoscientist, or was a geoscientist, had a drone, and he used to do it for inspecting dams and hydro projects and everything. And at the time that he showed it to me, it was $800, and it had full photographic capability.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They're pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I've seen drones, $2,000 is an average price for a drone right now.
Okay, so we'll. I wish that Nikki was here because I was going to grill her. As you can see, I had quite a few questions arising, but she's lucky, and I will talk to her about that separately. Anybody else?
Sorry, when you talk to her, can you ask her to increase the...
Well,
That's me. That was
Oh.
my fault.
yeah,
Increase the font size?
I
and
noticed it.
increase the font size.
Nobody
small pages.
pointed a finger and said, who did it?
Yeah, I don't care who did it.
I
It's,
don't know.
I could read it.
She has young eyes.
I can read it.
Yeah. I had to get at my 3.5s.
My glasses.
I have no problem with it, it's fine.
Okay, the interim CAO exit report, starting on page 35. I trust that you've glanced at it. I move to receive. Second, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question on receipt of the report. All in favour? Opposed? That carries. Mayor has nothing. Council, emergency preparedness and business continuity report. Fred, page 105.
Yeah, I've got my sort of summary of the whole plan. There's too much to go through here. There's a couple of things I thought were kind of interesting that kind of relates to us is some of the things like the port fire that they had in Vancouver, where they had a shipping container with what was the chemical that was in it is what you use in pools and hot tubs.
Sodium hypochlorite?
Yeah, exactly, thank you. It caught fire and it made a horrible mess, and the whole tank was bulged out and everything. But the more interesting thing I found about it wasn't the handling of the issue. Like Vancouver Fire did their usual good job, but some of the notifications of the general public were the things that caught my eye. Quite often in emergency services, they talk about sheltering in place. In other words, stay indoors, block your windows and doors and everything. They were surprised how many people wanted to know where the shelter was that they could get in place. A lot of the people were thinking in terms of bomb shelter sort of things. They weren't aware there was a shelter in their neighborhood. Well, no, shelter in place means stay in your house. And what struck me with it is the more you get into something, the more you pick up the jargon and you forget how much people don't understand. So we talked about this at the ESS meeting because shelter in place is one of the things they have to deal with. And one of the members just said, why don't we just say stay inside?
Stay where you are.
Yeah. And if you had a loud hailer or an emergency alerting device, you could do that sort of thing. Sorry, I'm not making a pitch.
He wants that thing.
That's glitzy. The other one I would draw your attention to would be the Lac-Mégantic rail disaster. That really spoke to me in as much as it was sort of a lack of due diligence by one person caused a disaster. And
The locomotive engineer.
well, he was a representative of the train. I don't know if he was an engineer, but the fire department responded to a fire in the train, and their protocol is to shut the engine down and everything to, of course, remove the heat source, put the fire out, and it was on a hill, not a mountain like people in Lac-Mégantic say. It's a hill. They don't have mountains there. And it was higher up. They had, with air brakes on from the engine, they also put on a few manual handbrakes. Well, with the engine shutting down, the compressor's not running, so it doesn't maintain the air supply. So the train company representative arrived on site and did not restart the engine and did not apply extra handbrakes in compensation for the lack of air pressure that he should have known was coming. Consequently, the thing started rolling from about 12 away, and they estimate the speed of the train by the time it left the rails was 100 km. And 47 people died, and you know, was it 75 million liters of light crude erupted from the train, and the place was in flames all over the place. And all because one person didn't do their due diligence and put on extra handbrakes or start the engine. And I think we have a train coming through our area here, and I think it's good to keep our eyes open. People should be looking at placards and just seeing what on earth is coming through here, along with the trucks that go through here. The rail company says that they're not bringing many hazardous materials through us. Well, there's more than just the hazardous materials coming through. If they stack them together, you compound the problem. Like the rail company says, you gotta move your placarded vehicles with non-hazardous ones between them, so that if there is an accident. I've personally seen on railways, not ours here, stacking of hazardous materials. So the company may have a policy, but I think it's our due diligence as residents here to keep an eye on these things. And if you see two similar placards with the same UN number on them, I think it's worth a phone call.
Or even worse, two different ones that react.
Exactly,
Well,
an oxidizer. is
They,
what-
they need to be mixed, that's all. The point is that there's a hazardous car, and then there's 3 or 4 others before the other hazardous car follows.
Right.
And that's fine. But the other point of concern with our rail is, I wonder about the speed along this section of track here. Because at nighttime, it sounds like that train is moving a hell of a lot faster than it does at daytime. It certainly seems that way. That might just be an impression, but it certainly seems that way, just listening to it.
Well, we can check that quite
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. But my tie to what I was saying about Lac-Megantic is, the company may have the right policies and everything else like that, but all you need is one member to
Yeah.
really mess up.
Yeah.
We've got a real situation in our hands.
Yeah, it's a very valid point. You know, we haven't really talked about the rail line very much, but it is an artery of danger right through our village. It can do anything. CN is a law unto themselves. They are not accountable to any government except the feds, and even then, barely. You know, they predate Canada, for heaven's sake.
Well, we also have the issue of semi-trailers coming through with their tankers and their who knows what cargoes as
And they've got more power than the bank have. Bank had.
Well, I mean, the issue is, you know, LNG might, a pipeline might fail, but, you know, the pipeline on rails is a valid, economical way of moving oil from oil fields to where it needs to be consumed. Well, there's a big refinery in Burnaby that's on the railway line. So, yeah, I think we need to be well aware of that. In fact, I would even say that we probably need to resolve, not now, but at some point in the near future, that staff sort of pay attention to this and work with CN to, you know, CN is very reluctant to tell us when they're sending hazardous cargo through because they know that, you know, people will be waving signs. So they never say. They have undertaken, of course, who's checked, never to store in the siding up at Porteau and the one just north of 63 Brunswick Beach. They never store hazardous cargoes there.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's another thing I lose sleep about, is the rail line. Quite aside from the detriment to our property.
You phrase that for an action item?
Yeah. Can we actually do that, please? As an action item, produce a resolution, mayor to produce a resolution on positive action on the rail line through Lions Bay.
Positive action,
Yeah, or explicit action, let's say explicit action.
explicit action.
Make sense?
Or
Good
how
one.
about regarding hazardous
We know what it
materials
is.
going through the village?
Okay, yeah,
We know what it is.
I'll run it by you guys, yeah.
Okay,
It'll be a resolution to write a letter.
okay.
But it's surprising actually how much they pay attention to official, they think in official terms. Thanks, Fred. Was it worth it?
Oh, yeah, I thought so.
Do you go next year? Is it annual?
It's
Or-
annual. Well, it's really up to you guys. I need your.
No, it's up to you.
No, it's up to you.
I move that Councillor Bain goes forever.
It's nothing in the omnibus one,
I just have a quick question.
Automatically
Did I
renewed.
miss going over the intern CAO report?
Yeah, we received it.
You just results received it?
Yeah. Nothing from the mayor. We received, so we need a motion to receive the emergency preparedness and business continuity report. Can I have a motion? Thanks, and a second. No, you don't have to move your own report.
Well, I was quite moved by it.
Okay, well, if you're that moved, you can
That
move
moved, you can move
it.
it.
All in favour? Opposed? Carries. Okay, Lions Bay Parking Survey, committees.
Okay, actually, it's probably, I want to report on the Lions Bay Parking Committee itself. Well, no, well, kind of. Okay, the survey went out on Friday with the Friday e-post, and we had a second one go out Monday with Shauna's help, sort of a follow-up in case people didn't open Friday's e-post. So you said that today 150 people opened up the
I can't remember now.
150, so
It's around there.
Open the email.
open the email, they,
Oh,
No,
open the email, yeah.
300 opened the
300
email, 150 clicked onto the survey, and that was only today. As of yesterday, we've received 150 responses. So that's
Complete?
Complete enough.
I tried to complete, well, you know, I mean, there were
But
some
that was,
technical issues.
so that was early on where it wouldn't let you proceed unless you completed all the answers. So now over the weekend, we changed that to say it'll just let you complete whether,
Free format, yeah.
yeah, whether you actually answer all the questions or not, so,
Any sneak preview?
no.
Come on.
No, I don't have it.
Oh, okay.
So Leslie is
The monkey
gathering all the
has it.
data.
So was there hard copy delivered as
Yeah,
well
so the
in a
hard
mail
copy
drop?
was delivered, there was a mail drop on Monday to all the people who do accept flyers. So non-addressed
Yeah.
letter, and then we also put a stack in the village office. So hopefully anyone who wants to fill out the survey will have access to
It
it.
looks like we're going to get about 300 responses.
I'm hoping, my target is 250, which isn't bad considering we have 550 homes, so half the homes.
That's a
kinda
good
cool.
percentage, yeah.
Yep.
That is a very good.
And then we will have an analysis by our next meeting, which is January 7th.
See, I knew it was. I missed the December 7th one through thinking it was the January 7th one.
Is that your birthday?
January 7th is my birthday.
So in honor of your birthday, we'll present you with the survey
Parking
results.
survey.
I know you like that kind of stuff.
Excellent.
Second, actually, I forgot to ask for a budget to do this survey, so I've incurred some costs. So I was wondering if I can get some money for this, and that was to photocopy the printed copies as well as to do that letter thing, and the total cost.
Do you
I
also
forgot
have to
bring-
pay for the mail drop?
Yeah, so the mail
Okay.
drop came to about $60, and then the printing came to,
Yeah. You can just submit, in trouble talking,
Need
submit.
to be a separate cost line item in the
Yeah.
budget
I think
report.
so.
Yeah.
I think for each thing you did, a separate cost line.
According to this, you've got $61,970 to play with. Oh, minus salaries. Sorry. Communications, $1,503.
we don't know if it comes out of that.
It does, it would come out of the mayor's communication, I already checked,
The
and
mayor's
there's,
mayor has a
mayor
communication
and
budget?
council, mayor and council communication budget.
We-
See, I'd like to know about that.
Anyway, you just submit,
I would have communicated more.
just submit an expense report,
Okay,
and we have money to
You
cover
do a
it.
pretty good job
Okay.
already.
and then the final point is that during one of our committee meeting, we talked about whether we want to investigate putting metered parking throughout the village or in specific location. And then we had hoped one of the committee members would be able to do some more investigation and come back with a report. He said that what is required is for an RFI to go out to the various companies, providers, and then therefore.
Have them do the work.
Yes, pretty much. And so to do that,
You
we
sent
would.
him away to think of that idea?
Yes.
Yeah, he
Well,
was not
I
gonna
thought he was gonna pick up the phone and do the work. Anyway,
You may want to reassign that task.
well, I don't know, but this doesn't seem like a bad approach either. However, we would need staff to do this.
Yes.
I think that the parking could be metered at the store, at Lions Bay Avenue along the beach, you know, some of the areas like that.
The hiking area.
The
Well, the
hiking
store is
area.
private. That's the.
Well, we haven't identified whether what the areas
Yeah, no,
are.
of
We
course,
just wanna
yeah.
know ballpark, how much it would cost.
What it would look like, what the
Yeah.
business model is.
Take this back.
So what should I,
I think you need to write a scope, and staff is tapped out.
Well, a committee member couldn't do it, and we've asked the finance committee to do certain things, so
Yeah.
we could ask a member of your
Give it-
committee to do it.
Give it to me.
You gotta figure out what it is that you want. I mean,
Lower Calvin Grove.
which one?
I don't know if it would help, but there's a manufacturer of meters, like the pay station type meters, that's right in Burnaby, and a simple call to them could probably solve a lot of your
that's what
problems.
we thought.
Yeah. Well, it's just that this. Yeah. Let me do it.
Okay.
Give it to me. But can you sign it to me now? Okay. Thank you. I'll
Yeah.
take it.
Okay.
It's not a committee meeting, but
Maybe you should set a time for that too.
Jan
well,
7th?
I'll tell you, the report is due the end of February.
Oh,
In
okay.
theory, to give us
Yeah.
ample time to implement. I'm also going to be proposing in one of my wish lists in the budget $17,500.
I missed a digit, because I
I know.
well, I
You just missed a
I
digit?
just missed a digit.
Okay, because
So, right, make
for the
a note
first
of that.
phase of the parking plan, that hasn't even been approved yet, but we're going to make provision for it. And then, I would fondly believe that the parking meter vendors' business model is such that they can move pretty fast. And I imagine what will happen is they will put it and run in everything for about half the revenue. I'm
If that's the
guessing.
route we go.
I'm guessing. If that's the route we choose to go, we need to know what the model is, of course.
Okay.
Good job, Helen.
What's your action item for that?
Action item is, as member of the parking plan committee, what am I now?
No, it's all right.
Member Burr will,
You've offered it, so for the regular stuff.
yeah, that's right, forget it.
Member at large of the parking committee.
Right.
He's a full,
The
fully
big meetings
fledged.
are following the little meeting stuff.
Yeah. No, I just happened to be assigned it offline by the chair. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, so, good?
Yes.
Right. Page 117 is a surprise report on this stuff. Does anybody know, I bet you nobody does, maybe you do, Fred, the alarm ringing, Lions Bay School, is that a fire alarm or a security alarm?
They used to have a security alarm. In fact, I think they still have a security system, and they do have a fire alarm system, so I don't know. If the fire got called, I would assume it's a fire alarm.
Yeah, good point. Otherwise, it's the police. The other thing that I really would like, Pam, well, no, this is just an action item. Staff to report whether MVA rescue required is highway or in village. I need to know that.
Staff, sorry, say that again, staff to.
MVA and MVA rescue required. In village or highway. We need to know that for all kinds of good reasons to do with representations to ministries and so on. Okay, anything else on the emergency services reports? No, we didn't get anything from police. Do we normally, it's normally the first meeting that we get it, right? Or is it the second meeting? Okay, well, we didn't get it, so that's fine. Okay, so we'll move on to resolutions. The first is repeal the second alternate for Metro and Mayor's Council resolution, page 119. You've read the recommendation. I'm sure you all understand why. Can I have a motion and a second? Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favour? Opposed? That carries. Thanks. Good. That needed to come
And
off.
this is where we add our resolutions. So
Yes, okay, now
changed agenda.
the second one is the water
Water
user.
user rates. So did you want me to read it or?
Please, yep.
Okay, so be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay Council receive this report for information purposes and direct staff to commence the process to repeal Bylaw 130 in order to consolidate user rates and parcel tax for water services within the Village of Lions Bay and apply the consolidated water rate to all residents of the Village of Lions Bay, including residents of Brunswick Beach.
Thank you. Can I have a motion and a second? Discussion? So the only one is a procedural one. Do we have to put the report into the minutes?
Normally we would have, but we had like 15 minutes to do these. But
No,
there's
yeah,
a
but
small
so
gap,
will it
so
go
we were
into
wondering
the?
about that. Yes.
Will it go into the minutes of? It can't go in the agenda, obviously, because here's the
No,
agenda.
Yeah.
it's not in the agenda, but normally we would have that same report, just stamped on table and brought back to everybody.
So I don't think it has to go in the minutes.
Well, it
does
refers to this
resolution-
report.
The resolution goes into the minutes, and then a copy of that report would be on table, which would.
Oh, there's a separate on-table section.
Yeah.
Do you need to refer to the report? You say this report.
Would we have added the report, and we'd add it on table, but then would it become part of the minutes? Because in the minutes, like even when we adopt bylaws, we don't actually put the bylaw in the minutes.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
But
And
it's
we
usually
have-
in the agenda.
Right, but it was in
Yeah,
the previous
it would
agenda,
have been an
on
you
It's a
have
separate
seen
meeting.
it, yeah.
It's a different meeting.
It would just be a piece of paper that, it would be her exact report from the council strategy committee meeting.
Yeah.
Normally, we would just update this piece and
Fine.
then her same resolution.
So you can handle the necessary semantics of getting it so that when the public sees that resolution and they say, what report, they'll find the report.
Yeah, it'll be, it goes as, if you go into on our website where the minutes are,
Yes.
there's also an
On
on-table
table, yeah.
section that they can click on. and
For the
it'll
main
show
meeting,
all
for
of-
this meeting.
Yes.
Fine.
So we can put it in as on
Yeah,
table,
and I will, it's just we
retroactively.
didn't get to do
We
it
just
today,
literally
so
had
no
so
time.
little time, it was
No,
all
no,
we could do.
I
to
don't
get the
expect it here,
resolutions.
but I want to be sure
No,
that
but it is
people
a
can
good
find
point.
the
No,
report.
I agree.
And when you say this report, well, they know what that means.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But how do we do, how
Well,
do
we
we
will
change?
add it to the, when it goes online, we'll add it to the
No, why don't we
agendas on
adapt
table.
it to say the report titled something, something, something from the council strategy meeting?
That I'm not sure if we can do.
Well, it's public, so it can be,
Received the report titled.
yeah, titled
Water
X,
User Rate
yeah,
blank.
and then all the rest of it.
Or when we publish this, because you just want them to be able to see it, we'll be able to add it to the council package online. We can add the on table.
You should
have-
So then
you
the-
should have it titled in there, so you know.
I think you should have a
In
title
case
as
it
well.
gets separated or something happens.
Okay.
Can you just put in XXX for now and put the right title in when the time comes? I'm happy to call a question on the seconded motion on that basis. If you just replace the words "this report" with whatever it
It'll be
was.
water user rates and parcel tax restructure report.
And you may even want to say as presented in the council strategy meeting. Good. Okay, call the question. All in favour? Opposed? Carried?
C,
Yes.
2016 budget considerations. Be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay Council review the items highlighted over the Christmas break in conjunction with the staff's concurrently presented overview budget to begin the 2016 budget discussion in earnest starting January.
Do we need a resolution for that?
It was in the
My memo, you
report.
read it word for word.
We weren't sure about that, but it did, this was from the report.
Okay, well, if we say so, we have to do it.
Fine.
I'm fine. I mean, it seems like we would do it anyway, but okay. Motion? It's yours. Second? All in favour? Opposed? Carried? D, Santa's breakfast.
I recuse myself, the circled area.
Thank you.
And did you want to read it, or I have it?
You read it, please, just to make sure that you...
Yes,
It's the same one.
I don't think we changed it. Be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay Council agree to reimburse $500 costs paid to the Village of Lions Bay for rental of tables and chairs, labor costs to move and return the items, and damage deposits to support Santa's breakfast held at Lions Bay School on December 5th, 2015.
Now, you've already returned the damage deposit, so that's in the 500. That's fine, we don't have to...
Okay.
It's in the 500. Now, we said we'd return everything but 100. That was one consideration, because they would have paid...
It would have actually been $25, the rent.
Again, I want to support. Why do we say this for them and not for everybody else who asks? I would support that if we said less $25 standard hall rental.
Okay, either way.
I don't know.
Oh, I don't think you were in the discussion. were you?
No, I understand, but I don't know why we would even charge. I mean, I understand.
Because the
There's a
tables
cost
were used
attached.
off-site because
Yeah.
they had to go to the school,
Okay.
and that's
fine.
in our fees. That's in our fees, and I mean, that's what we've decided, that if you want to use the table, if the hall furniture off-site, you've got to pay for the delivery and everything. I just don't like it. I just don't like setting a precedent, because then anybody can ask, and they're going to say, "Well, you let Santa's breakfast do it." So it's not an official event, is it? Is it run by the events committee?
No.
It's a well-attended community event, yes, but it's no official sanction whatsoever.
In the past, it has been a municipal grant item, but it's my understanding that this year they didn't request the municipal grant.
Okay,
which
let's
was
say
part
this
of the
then.
reason why they missed the date.
So Play School did receive a municipal grant
But
last
this is
year.
not play
but
school. Oh no, it's a
This is
play school
both.
fundraiser.
Well, they did, but that had to
That
do
was
with
for
the
something,
grant
the operating
application and covering
costs.
their operating costs so they could apply for the grant. And in previous years, prior to me being here, it is my understanding they have applied for a grant for the
For the
breakfast
pancake
for
breakfast.
Santa. Yeah.
Okay, why don't
And
we
it got
then say
missed.
in lieu of a community grant? To make it different than anybody asking any time they didn't
Yeah.
want to pay.
That works. Yeah, that would work.
Okay?
Maybe just say the costs, well, we are reimbursing essentially 500, but
Yeah.
we've already reimbursed some of it already.
Yeah, because
Okay.
they did pay for the deposit. So they got that back.
So paid to the Village of
Oh.
Lions for,
The 500 included the deposit? Oh, well then it's 500 less the deposit.
Yeah, but with this, you authorize the repayment of the deposit as within a lump sum,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, will that work out
Yeah,
semantically?
yeah.
Fine. Okay, so just adding the words in lieu of a 2015 community grant.
at the very end,
Yeah.
in lieu of a 2015
At the very end of, like, after
we'll
December.
call it municipal grant?
Is that what it is? Yeah. Is that what we call it?
Yeah,
Community grant?
Municipal grants.
Municipal community grant? Okay,
municipal
fine.
grants,
Fine.
in lieu of a
That
2015
then gives it a
municipal grant.
little bit of... its-
Distinction.
Yeah, distinction, exactly. Okay, so I'll call the question on that one. No, do I have a motion yet? No. Motion, please. Second, thanks. Any further discussion? I think I had called the question. Got a motion, yeah. Okay, call the question.
Pam, can you just repeat the last?
Yes,
it's at
so
the
we
very
say
end, the last
December
sentence.
5th, 2015, in lieu of a 2015 municipal grant.
Okay, that's what I have, thank you.
I think that's a little more prudent, yeah. Okay, call the question. All in favour? Opposed? Carried. Ron!
We'll tell Ron it wasn't approved. We decided not to.
He's not doing too well.
Sorry, Ron. Maybe you're on the hook. No, just kidding.
Happy to.
We did it in order to not set any sort of mass precedent. We said we'll cover the costs in lieu of a 2015 municipal grant. Because they didn't get a municipal grant for the census.
Oh, for the
breakfast.
15 grant, yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Do not. Okay. Okay, moving on
And
to
the last one,
Trailblazers.
Trailblazers. Be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay Council agree to reimburse the table rental fees for the Aaron Moore Memorial event. Actually, I think what we meant to say was waive. I'm sorry, this was done very quickly. Be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay agree to waive the table rental fees for the Aaron Moore Memorial event.
Don't like it.
But are the Trailblazers, they're a
It's not really Trailblazers. It's John Dudley doing it.
It's,
They do get a
private
municipal
doing it,
grant.
some of the
This
guys in the
wasn't-
Yeah,
Trailblazers.
can we say that because they are
They got a municipal grant already, though.
recipients?
Yeah, they spent it.
Okay, well, why don't we say as an additional municipal
Yeah.
grant then?
So it's not just anyone, it's people who have been, groups that have been,
Carl Salted.
Yeah, let's do that.
It's the end of the year, we can do that.
About as an addition to their
Yes.
2015 municipal grant?
Yep.
Okay, I'll read this for you, Shauna. I'll read the whole thing again. Be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay agree to waive the table rental fees for the Aaron Moore Memorial event as an addition to their 2015 municipal grant.
Do you mention Trailblazers?
What's a Trailblazers reason? Yeah, but then we also don't mention up here the, at the line, we don't mention the school here either.
Well, it's the Play School Society.
But it's not mentioned in the resolution either, so I think we're okay.
Fix it. Fix it offline.
Yeah,
You can tweak it.
Can we tweak it?
Mm.
Okay.
John does it all the time.
I tend to wonder about that sometimes, you know?
Really?
That's not exactly as I remember it.
Which
Let
one?
let me give the mayor a
We're gonna
hint. Make
tweak
it so.
D, and we're gonna tweak E.
Trailblazer reimbursement?
Yeah, that says it all.
Yeah.
Okay, I had an F written down here, but there doesn't seem to be an F. Is that correct? Okay,
think-
the F is now the one over the page, which
Pam
was
had
the
the
old
list.
C.
This is all I'm adding, so, no, there was no F.
Nope.
Okay, so what is now F was old C, but I don't know how you do the amendment of the agenda. So that is indemnification bylaw number 496, third reading.
One second, aren't we on 10A?
No.
We've done the resolutions.
today.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. I forgot the whole bunch of
We
it
did
there.
this once before.
I did,
and
yeah.
We did
Got-
third
when I
reading
got to the
before
bottom of the
second,
page.
so,
Yeah,
Oh yeah, let's not do that again.
okay.
yeah, sorry about that. Okay, beg your pardon
We
to
did it
all
appropriate.
listening.
We did it on our first, and would have done it on our last.
It's because I had written something else.
So 10A, fees and charges bylaw number 497.
Page 121, first and second reading. I had a few questions about these.
Yep. So essentially, what the fees and charges bylaw does, it authorizes us to charge the fees that we do. It's something that you tend to look at annually. We did the added step this year that a lot of other municipalities are doing. We had fees and charges isolated in a variety of bylaws, and it's become the practice now to pull it all into one bylaw. So that was a big purpose of this bylaw, was to pull them all together under one bylaw, and then each year we will do a new bylaw for fees and charges. And so the existing bylaws referenced here stay intact, but we've pulled out the fees and charges portion, and we've consolidated it all in one place. And the advantage of that is anyone wanting to see the fees and charges can now go to one bylaw and see all the fees and charges, as opposed to having to go to a variety of bylaws.
And do you have to repeal the other bylaws?
We're just removing that section of it because the bylaw wasn't just about fees and charges. Fees and charges were referenced in the other bylaws, so we're just pulling that portion out and putting it into.
My concern
This
is, I think it's fantastic, by the way. I'm only too happy because it simplifies things. in all of these bylaws that will need to be amended, all 12 of them, which sort of points to the need for this exercise, you say that you're amending sections that refer to a fees and charges bylaw number 462 of 2014. Are we going to have to go and amend these 12 bylaws every time we change the fees and charges bylaw?
No, because it's now being removed. Like what we used to have to do to change the fees and charges related to water, we had to change each bylaw. So now, because we removed them, we only have to update the fees and charges bylaw.
But it still says in the bylaw, it refers you to a fees and charges bylaw.
But it also states repeal of prior fees and charges to 2014 bylaw. So before that all starts, that's what it's doing, it's removing the bylaw.
So that you no longer.
So you no longer have to refer to it.
Well, I'm telling you what it says in the bylaw. It's quoted there. Every one of the bylaws refers to an old fees and charges bylaw. Still, exactly what that's the point of the exercise, because we're now referring you, if you want the fees and charges for the subdivision bylaw or the blasting bylaw, go and look in the fees and charges bylaw. But it's referring to an old one.
Would we have to put the year of the, say, 497 fees and bylaws? I don't know what the last one was, 2014, and then this one repeals that one, then this one states fees and charges bylaw 497, 2015.
I think we explicitly refer to it. In these 12 bylaws, I think you have to change them.
But,
We don't have to
but
adopt
this,
it.
the bylaw 497 is removing the 2014 bylaw 465. So therefore, these disappear and it should go into the new bylaw, is that right?
Where
The charges for these things should be in the new bylaw.
where does it repeal the previous bylaw?
It says right there, part 5, consequential amendments.
No.
But above that, it's repeal of prior fees and charges bylaw 2014, bylaw number 465. That is repealing it,
So when that's repealed,
which I think
does
we
it
summed up
automatically?
all these.
Yeah, we're repealing that bylaw, which was this,
Yes,
and it's now becoming part of this bylaw.
but
so
don't forget,
it's always
so we're
there.
doing things newly now. We're adding.
So I think we'd already removed them, put in this to repeal of prior fees and charges bylaw, but then now we've repealed that and put it all into one bylaw.
That's good, and I get
Yeah.
that. But
So I think we've covered all the steps, but it is something we could look into.
my concern is that because we hadn't done it before, there was no need for it. I don't know. I'm asking.
We've replaced those bylaws with one.
Just the fees and charges
Fees and
portion
charges
of those
portion of
bylaws
the bylaw,
with the
yeah.
one.
Yeah, no. These bylaws still exist, all 12 of them.
Yeah.
The fees are looked up somewhere else now. They're not in the bylaw anymore. Although this text also comes from the bylaw. So we've got some special things, as you say here. There's a connection charge section of Schedule A and Section 4 in the water bylaw number 2. I was very sorry to see that we were going to delete our oldest bylaw, but then I see you weren't actually repealing the whole bylaw, just part of it. Do we have to renumber it?
Yeah.
Good. I'm still sad that we don't have bylaw number 1.
So it's just like I say, removing the fees and charges from that. That was used to be the practice to spread them out, and
Yeah.
now the practice
No,
to
I
put them
get
all
that
into
part.
one bylaw.
I just
So
want to make
think
sure
we-
that the consequent
Yes.
things are correct.
Yes.
There's one solution would be to say the current version of the fees and charges bylaw, but I'm happy to go to second reading on this one because Peter can opine on this. He's the guy.
Yes.
He would know.
Exactly. And we can clarify that.
So has the bylaw committee reviewed this?
No.
Should they not?
No, because I think this is just
This is
updates.
modification. This is
Updates.
But what if we wanted updates from the updates? Like, for example,
Well-
with regards to parking, what if we decide to
So that was
change-
my exact question as well.
to change the fee structure?
Then we would, this bylaw gets looked at every year. It'll be an annual bylaw. And if you needed to change the parking prior to this parking season, we would do an amendment to this bylaw.
We'd have to do a new one. No.
Well,
You
in
have
that
to amend
case,
the
I know we're
bylaw.
gonna do a new one every year, but it might just be an amendment if we were just charging the parking to reflect the parking committee. You can maybe check with Peter, but.
No, we can
'cause
do a new one
definitely-
anytime. I don't like amendments. Because then we get amendment, bylaw amendment, and amendment of the amendment, and it
It would
gets...
just be, it would replace at the end, this is generally done in August, so it's just if you wanted those parking fees to be,
On a matter of business, from year to year, you would review the fees anyway.
Yeah.
So,
But parking is going to be special, because everything's going to change.
Yeah.
You know that $10 daily parking fee? I don't think there's going to be one. Don't know yet.
kind of like the budget bylaw, we do it annually, we give it a new number, but if during the year we have to amend the budget, we are required to do a budget amendment bylaw, but it just carries for that 1 year.
So has someone looked at all these numbers,
I
these
haven't.
fees, to make sure that we're in line with?
We
other
have, again,
municipalities and-
given the time constraints we had this year, our main effort was to consolidate it all. We had flagged some that we, were concerned about, but like I say, this will now be done on an annual basis, and we'll be doing it again in the summer.
Yeah,
Because
get that.
would normally be when we would do it. We'd start looking at it in August and September, do more benchmarking. We did some benchmarking.
But as it pertains to this particular one, you mentioned in the introduction that filming will not be raised if it's filming is a special case. Yet we have a Schedule 7 on page 13 of the bylaw, page 134 of the package, that does mention filming.
Sorry. Where does it say that?
Charges related to
We were just saying
development,
they were
land
not-
building, traffic and parking, and
But they were not
filming.
reviewed at this time.
Oh.
I mean, they're in the bylaw, but what we meant,
Oh, I
at this
see,
point, we
okay,
didn't
I
benchmark
understand.
it. As Councillor Watterson has said, that would be part of the annual process, benchmarking, looking to add new fees, change the fees. And we did that to a certain extent this year, but we would do a broader scope
I'm
next
glad
year,
we
because
go
we'd be
through
looking at
radical
it in
changes,
August.
yeah.
So the only real question I had was, and I'm sure Nikki will tell me we have to do it this way, is that we keep mentioning the highway. Now, I know that's the technical term for the road, but nobody knows that. So is it at all possible to say roadway instead of highway? I know the bylaw calls our roads highways, if not boulevards. You know, if somebody's actually using this to look up what they're supposed to be doing.
Because I know we also reference that in our parking bylaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, the parking, it's always
It
referred
says
to
the
as the
highway.
highway. It's actually right in the.
It is old English law. It means public road. It doesn't, it's not high.
Maybe more accurate, call it a thoroughfare.
If
So I
somebody's
think that
mis-
can be tightened up on. But again, we can do that in subsequent
Maybe it's
readings.
actually something we could address at the bylaw,
Yeah,
because it would,
that's a good
it'd
point,
have
yeah.
repercussions for a lot of bylaws, in
Yeah.
particular the parking bylaw.
Well, I'm all for getting rid of the need to adapt bylaws piecemeal, to have a one-stop shop for the fees. So, and was it those 12 the only bylaws that contain fees? Okay, so we have a second, but we don't have a motion yet to do first and second reading on this bylaw, number 497. Can I have a motion? And I know you seconded, thanks Ron. Any further discussion? This is first and second. One more opportunity after this for change. I would suggest that the person who's going to be reviewing this is our new CAO, who is a lawyer.
Action item. We do a note to action item with the CAA, we'll have to look at
Actually-
it before it comes forward.
He may not be, because the plan was to have third reading January 5th, and he starts January 4th.
I'd definitely like him to look at it.
Okay, then we will have to defer it, because,
You can
So
defer
just
it
for-
in the meeting or just not bring
just for
it.
budget purposes, any of the new fees, like we've asked the municipal grants to use the new fees when they do their
Assuming the
in-kind,
fees
so it would-
will stand. I didn't see anything that I really didn't like. There was quite a big increase in the gymnasium rental for non-profit groups.
And I think it was mainly it hadn't increased for so long.
Oh.
Like I say, those are the rates, we talked about it in the earlier meeting, when someone puts in a municipal grant and they ask for cash and they ask for in lieu fees, they use the actual rates from the fees and charges to ask for their in-kind.
Yeah. No, I think the numbers will probably survive. I just want to, there might be some wording changes. So. But I definitely would like the CEO to have a look at it.
Okay, so
So just don't bring it
yeah,
next
third
meeting.
reading will come on January 19th then.
Yeah, but then the action item is for the CEO to review in time for the January 19th meeting,
The fees and charges bylaw.
the fees and charges bylaw. Okay, so on that, with that proviso, can I call the question? All in favour? Opposed? That carries. Good. Yeah, that's a good piece of work. Was it Haley?
Yeah, Haley did, well, we all did. I mean, actually Shauna did a lot of the work
Really?
in terms of
Yeah.
amalgamating them all.
Yeah.
And then we just
Good.
met as a group. We get a lot of feedback from Fran and Susan, and like next year we can maybe look at building permits and then do the benchmarking and
Well,
see.
the building permits, we were talking about changing the building bylaw is going to be all changed to try and address some of the strategic issues around abusive building permits as one of the action items in here, where we will come up with ways to solve some of our building permit issues. The whole building bylaw is going to change.
Which could lend itself then to next year, also looking at the fees.
Yeah, I don't know how it will look exactly, but I've started drafting some ideas. But that's another day's discussion. So the next one is the official community plan amendment, bylaw number 493. Third reading had been tabled from previous meeting on page 139. So I think we all know the background here. We had in fact seen this last meeting, but inadvertently the employment numbers had been left out. So this is really that tabled.
The double final.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll ask for a motion on third reading and a second. Any further discussion? I'll just mention that this thing it's a fairly short-term expedient until we get our new OCP in place, in which case we'll have a new regional context statement, which will perhaps get rid of some of the typos that I just discovered when I read this thing through, and maybe grit my teeth again, because they're my typos. So all in favour? Opposed and carried. Good, thank you. So, where are we now? Oh, weren't we going to do a resolution on instructing staff to do the to investigate the land sale opportunity?
Closed meeting. That's why we're closing.
Closed meeting. Thank you. Thank you for that. Indemnification bylaw 496.
And that's just tabled.
It's not in there because it was tabled.
That's tabled.
Again last
I move to drop it altogether. How do you say that in municipal parlance?
We've done first and second reading, so I think we just continue to table it. And then
No,
we
we
could
can't
have,
table it indefinitely, though.
we did with the mayor and
Well,
council
You can
indemnification.
table it to
You
a
can
specific
table it for a long
remuneration
period of
of it,
time
yeah.
if you have to.
No, there's tabling is short term. There's something else that is long term. Defer. What's the difference between defer and table?
There's no such thing as deferred in
Ah.
the Robert's Rule of Order. It's tabled as the correct
Like you don't have to
terminology
table it each
to-
meeting, like the council
you can
remuneration
table
bylaw ended up
it.
being tabled for 6 months, and then we just brought it back. And that would give
But
the
how
new
do we
CAO
reject
an
it entirely
opportunity.
until the next time we actually want to review the indemnification bylaw? That's only my proposition. If
Just
somebody here would like to,
Well, it
We
wasn't our
haven't-
document.
sorry,
It wasn't our document.
no.
We haven't done third readings, so maybe do another item that the new CAO look at it as well. Because we've done first and second reading, just like we did
Can we
with the
not
fees and
defer it
charges.
until a certain period of time?
Yeah, you can table it to such and such meeting.
Pending
date.
review by the new.
That would be the, like. the
And then
best
do
way
an
to
action
do it, I would
item that
think.
it be
Yeah.
reviewed by the new CAO.
We don't have to resolve that, we just
And
state
then I don't
that.
have to put it on the agenda every single.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if
that's
you-
right.
If you
So
decide
it just goes to the action item.
So we'll have to take a resolution to table it, and then the action item will be for the CAO to review and bring back to council when ready. So a motion to table, and a second, all in favour, opposed, carried. Good. Correspondence. Ron, are you up for it?
It's happily short, only 6 items. First one, BC Aware Days, which is, the piece we have here is led by Mayor Corrigan, and the essence of it is cybercrime. And the option is to follow his lead, which I would suggest we know it.
Well, I will say one thing,
It's a
maybe I will mention
proclamation.
it. Maybe I shouldn't admit it, but my parents were taken for 20 grand. And it was a well-run, they're not dumb. My dad is on the ball. It was a convincing story to do with grandsons and police bail, and they are so clever. They're like fortune tellers at the fair. So, and it's all done online. So, if it can happen to my parents, it can happen to me. So maybe I'll just mention something about it in a
I
piece.
think that's fine. I think just topically, the Supreme Court struck down the cyberbullying law in Eastern Canada earlier this week, against all odds, but it's
So I've got to give everybody a fair shake.
okay, so enough on that. The draft regional affordable housing strategy, this is Metro seeking comments. And I'll leave that to you, Carl.
Yes, I've already taken care of it.
thank you. Prime Court Annual Report, it's funny to see an annual report of a records management company, but thank you if you've got the time. to
Is
look
there
at
any
it.
reason why we're seeing that?
It's a
Is it
unique
marketing?
marketing attempt.
Okay.
So the other one, a resident has put a Lions Bay parking letter. I think I just point that out to Helen,
You've
but
noted
I
that?
think it's already on the same page as where we're going.
Actually, I don't think he's a resident. I think he's like, he runs a website that promotes cliff jumping.
Oh, guess where he wants parking?
Yeah.
No, it's a well-reasoned letter, it's
And
interesting.
so he's saying, you know, they're gonna come anyway, so let's try to make it, you know.
I think the parking committee is jiggy with that.
All right, moving on. Item 5 is BC Proclamations Day, and I'm sure that Susan Anton and the LG, well, they've made their official proclamation. It's a day for our common future day, which unfortunately has just lapsed. It was December.
It was 4 days ago, yeah.
There we
I think it
go.
was-
However, the opportunity in G6 is an opportunity to have a glass of nog with the MLA Sturdy, and don't be late because the Christmas movie starts at 2:30.
Is anyone going?
I'll go to his, no. Thank you. New business, council meeting schedule of 2016 on page 165. Do we have to adopt this? Resolve it? Okay, so you've seen the report, fairly standard stuff. I just wanted to ask, do we formalize our strategy meetings ad hoc? Do they get called when we need them?
When we need them, yeah.
Okay. And then we go through the notice period and so on. So there's no sense in saying council strategy meetings are the first Tuesday of every month and cancel them if necessary.
Yeah. This is when required council strategy meetings are scheduled for 3 to 5 on regular council meeting dates. Everybody as
It
needed.
seems like we have a lot of them lately, but
I think like during the budget process, I would see us having a lot, and then we tend to go for a few months without any. And
I would just say as a matter of practicality, if you can give 10 days notice, I mean, I have to really scramble when these things pop up at the last minute.
I think a few meetings ago, council had decided to do them once a month.
Yeah, regularly. Yeah. No, I'm fine with doing it ad hoc, but I just need to know. I need to know,
It's the
like,
timing,
2
midday.
weeks ahead would be great. That's
My
important.
concern with this schedule is every single one of those is 2 meetings a month, council meetings, these right here.
Yeah.
Okay, and we talked about this at nauseam about the fact that the more council meetings we have, the more work we generate for staff. And we've already gone through the first year with staff, and we realized that we came close at first to overloading everybody. And I think that we've got to be very considerate about why we're having a meeting twice a month. There's no
If I had my
requirement
druthers,
for it.
I wouldn't have any meetings.
Well, no, I think we have to have meetings. All I'm saying is that I think that I don't see I don't know, it might just be me, but I don't see the reason why we have to meet twice a month, every single month.
Well, just
We need a
thinking
special
of what
meeting.
we've done today,
Yeah.
I mean, the first meeting in January is kind of a very light meeting. I mean, Pamela's got some small stuff, the new CAO's here. So I'm gonna guess with what's being carried forward here, there's nothing here. If there was a desire to pass on the 5th, I guess that wouldn't be the biggest end of the world. However, the 19th, which is gonna be a very busy day like today, no doubt, and probably the first session in February, which would be quite far in the budget by then. I think certainly by the end of February, the parking and the infrastructure master plan stuff should be in hand. So there's the second one for sure. I mean, March is the dark side of the moon.
I would
me.
love to drop the second one, but frankly, thank goodness we have it, because we've needed the last 3 months of meetings. We've needed it. But I think you're right. We could right now
could
drop
wait
January
We
5th.
could do the 5th. I mean, as I did the calculation when we, starting tomorrow, and then we count the business days and Christmas Eve and junk like that, it's 11 working days, and really what we've given staff to do can be, legislatively, there's nothing. And Pamela can certainly send her stuff electronically.
Well, if I could interject, the IMP is coming in on the 16th or 15th,
Yeah.
so the 19th would be an appropriate meeting, and then scrap the 5th.
Well, of December?
No, January.
January, yeah. So, I mean, at the 5th is
Just drop
nothing
the
for
fifth.
me.
Okay, that's on the nod, that's okay. Okay, and then let's leave the rest to closer to the
Well,
time.
certainly
Because
for the next 2 months after that.
through March, it
Yeah.
looks like we're gonna need them anyway, plus more probably. I know you've called for at least 2 special meetings in the financial calendar. I think.
Yes, they're in May, and
They're
they
in
generally
May,
would be
yeah,
pretty quick
yeah.
just to do our, to meet the statutory deadlines
Yeah.
of the LGMA.
Okay,
Um,
so let's leave it at this with the January 5th gone.
Okay.
So a motion to
So you've
adopt.
got
the-
one of your 22 meetings.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you, Jim.
Well, no,
I don't take it lightly because.
Well, I don't either. I
it's-
think
it's-
it's,
it's
well,
something-
I mean, I'm sure staff appreciated us passing last time.
No, the point is that we're here to do a job, staff is here to do a job. We're not here to overload them, they're not here to overload us.
We're there.
We work together, and I do not see the need, it's just me, because, maybe it's because I'm selfish and I have run a business, but I do not see the need for 2 meetings a month, that's all, every single month. I can see, I can see special meetings, understand that fully, but to schedule 2 meetings a month, every single month, I think is overkill. That's just me.
Well, it's not like we're looking for things to do in the second meeting.
Well, I think we're.
No, I think Ron's right, we do have things to talk about, there's no
Well,
issues.
short term
no
issues, but I mean, I think maybe this is something for us when we get through the budget piece and
Yeah.
what we've got that we really do examine.
Okay.
Okay.
And per the council procedures bylaw, we did go back to having them twice
Yeah,
a month, but
yeah.
I think we do have the right to cancel them, and I think
We
we
do.
were gonna get into the process of, as part of one meeting, discussing whether or not we need the next,
Okay,
which is
that's
exactly
fine.
what we did
That would
now.
work, yeah.
The next
Which
meeting
was
is
what we
January
did
5th,
last-
and we've made a point that
last meeting.
actually,
That's
we
good,
won't
yeah.
have January 5th, yeah.
Okay, well, I will make a diary note for the 2nd February meeting to bring this topic up again.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you. Ron.
Okay, so I'll do the motion because I have to remember it. That the Village of Lions Bay Council approves the 2016 council meeting schedule as amended.
Yes.
Yes, good. Second. Further discussion? All in favour, opposed? Carried. Good. Shauna, can you send out an Outlook calendar? Recurring?
Yeah, I have to put them all in. Yeah, I'll do that this week.
Do a recurring. You don't have to put them in individually. You can do a
I guess
recurring
I can
first
do
first Tuesday, first Tuesday.
First and third, yeah.
That's very easy. Okay,
So then we're jumping ahead to item 14,
That's like we
the
normally do
added.
put them. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No,
We
go
normally
ahead.
do put them in the
Yeah.
council.
in recurring, yeah. Okay, so public questions and comments? None?
No, we
Um,
had- yes, sorry.
Resolution to close under 91E. Can I have a motion? And a second? All in favour? Opposed? Carried. This meeting is now closed. How are you getting home? No more jokes, I said. Just kidding. Okay, it's 9:10. We're reporting out from the closed meeting. 2 issues were resolved. First, that council direct staff to provide a recommendation on an offer to purchase a portion of village-owned Esplanade. And second, that council authorize staff to pay $1,000 plus GST to Ideal Property Works in respect of work done on the play school facility in the village hall. Good? Okay. Motion to adjourn? Second? All in favour? Opposed? Carried? Meeting adjourned.
Merry Christmas,